I believe after teaching for 32 years, I have developed good teaching or facilitative practices for the face-to-face classroom. I thought I had prepared myself for the role of an online facilitator, with prepared mental lessons for how Dave and I would run the session. The preparation was enough in some areas, and not enough in others. When I heard that I would be running a session for this course, I immediately thought of the issues I have had with the courses I participated in. Learning environments, 21st century skills, connectivism, and more were all to be considered as important factors in facilitating an online course. Yet although the content of these railroad courses were all about the new learning methods, the actual courses did not seem to practice what they preached. Reading, writing, talking, and working with other Malat students for brief periods of time, reading, writing, and then the course is over. So it's a refreshing change to find that this course may actually allow me to try to practice what the previous courses have preached. I would like to allow the learners the opportunity to research their own material on facilitating teams in a collaborative online environment. So what happened? Well, Dave and I created a seminar that followed the same pattern as the courses I complained about. It was reading and writing, and then the course was over. I also created pages to put up on Moodle that were well laid out, with words that could be made into links to other pages. But when Dave tried to put up the pages on Moodle, he found that he could not make the links, rendering my pages useless as anything other than a pretty page. What did I learn? Upon reflection, I realized I was intimidated by facilitating my peers, intimidated by having to earn a mark for my facilitation, and intimidated by using the unfamiliar program Moodle. I should have found out if I could link pages on Moodle together before I made my pages. In terms of student learning outcomes, the teaching experience of the instructor does not matter as much as the instructor's experience with technology. This finding underscores the importance to online learners of appropriate media and design, supported by media-competent instructors. Sunday, frustration. Dave and I worked hard to be ready to put the Moodle and wiki sites up before required so that we could test it before it was needed, and we can't. Royal Roads University's Moodle site is down. What happened? Well, Monday, Dave put the sites up. I felt badly that I was out most of the day with appointments made long before this course started. So, of course, the appointments were made long before I knew I would be running a session this week. I had anticipated that this would still not be a problem because we were going to put the site up on Sunday and I'd be available to help. But then the site was down. Moodle came up during the morning and Dave made our session active in the late morning, and now we wait. What did I learn? I learned as a facilitator I have to be flexible and realize that technology can fail. I also need to be aware of the individual learner and what the learner must master, rather than focusing on what content to cover. The week was shorter, and Dave and I had to adjust our expectations about what work the learners could do. Tuesday. A few issues of people posting in wrong areas. Not being so familiar with Moodle, I am unsure what we could have done to make it more obvious where to post. Does this mean Moodle forces facilitators to work to Moodle's needs rather than the needs of the learners and facilitators? If this is so, why hasn't Moodle changed to our needs as facilitators? I think I should research this. Wednesday. So I'm not sure why people haven't responded to our session other than the reasons why I don't respond until the weekend. My job has to come first, and I can't respond until the weekend. Perhaps everyone who has not joined in yet has the same problem. And I don't like reminders from the session leaders. I know what I have to do without being prompted. Oh well, I'll send a prompt. So what happened? Well, Dave responded to the people who were having issues with their site and helped them post in the right areas. And by the weekend, people were beginning to post their responses. Phew. What I learned? Well, this simply reinforced I need to understand technology better. So I've purchased a Moodle dummy book for the future. And the other thing I learned was something I already knew. I need to let the learners learn at their own pace. Though the teacher needs to be present, the network enables the teacher to play a facilitative, observant, but background role. The primary focus should be on the student's own thinking processes and collaborative learning. Thursday. It's quite apparent that some people have limited tech skills even after all this time of RRU courses. Ask them to try something different, like posting a link without a Dropbox, and problems arise. I think video tutorials on how to do this work before and after courses would solve these problems. Good news is, more people are responding. The bad news is, I'm out of touch for 24 hours. So here's another thought. What hours do real facilitators keep? I assume it's from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock for some, but shouldn't it be the hours that best meet the needs of the learners? For example, many people in the lab work full-time and work on RRU courses during the evenings and weekends. Do facilitators have to be available then too? Saturday, almost over. People have responded, and all that's left is to compile the research and send it to them. So what happened? Well, by this point the seminar was running really smoothly until Friday, when Moodle went down again and I was on my way to a workshop in Portland. Thank goodness for Dave. He started a Google Doc for the learners, and they all posted to that. What did I learn? What hours do a facilitator expect to be online for? As a learner, I can go online and attend my class for all hours and all days. Should I expect to be on all the time as a facilitator? Much potential email can be headed off, providing easily accessible and clearly communicated information on the course website. Evaluation. Dave and I prepared 2 forms of evaluation for our seminar. One was to evaluate the learner's success at completing the goal and objectives we set out for them. The evaluation was based on their responses to the assignments. Since they completed both parts, I would say that the learners were successful. The second evaluation was to let the learners evaluate our seminar. The learners filled out a 10-question survey on SurveyMonkey. Please see Appendix 1. The results of this evaluation were not as successful. While the results were mixed, it is apparent from the results that the learners who did respond were not completely satisfied with the assignments and compiled resources. And the most disappointing result for me was that 60% felt the workload was too much, and I fell short of my personal goal of trying to reduce that workload. Final reflections. As I have previously stated, I cannot name a philosophy for online education at this time. The historical philosophies are based on the traditional ways of teaching. The proposed philosophies have not had time to consider the new innovative teaching methods and the evolving technologies. I will continue to research and reflect until I do choose a philosophy for online education. Facilitating this seminar opened my eyes to the issues facilitators face when designing and running a course or program. I believe the lack of an online philosophy hinders the evolution of facilitation methodology and learner use of the various ways in which to learn and present their skills and knowledge. Reflecting upon this course is showing me that as a facilitator I need to be flexible with a good understanding of technology. I may be holding the feathered spear thrower in my hand, but I need to practice more if I'm going to hunt mammoths. This survey was conducted online through SurveyMonkey 6 days after our seminar was over. We provided 5 choices for answers, as well as a place where a short comment could be written, which provided the learners with the option of expressing their views more accurately. Out of a possible 11 responses to the questions, the survey closed with only 5 responses. Question 1. Did you feel Seminar 4, facilitating teams in a collaborative online environment, met the goal? Results: 20% said somewhat, 80% said completely. Question 2. Did you feel Seminar 4, facilitating teams in a collaborative online environment, met Objective 1? Results: 5 answered 100%. Question 3. Did you feel Seminar 4, facilitating teams in a collaborative online environment, met Objective 2? Results: 2 or 40% said somewhat, 3 or 60% said completely. Question 4. Did you feel Seminar 4, facilitating teams in a collaborative online environment, met Objective 3? Results: 2 said or 40% said somewhat, 3 or 60% said completely. Question 5. Was the goal clear and understandable? 2 or 40% answered somewhat. 3 or 60% answered completely. Question 6. Were the objectives clear and understandable? 5 or 100% answered completely. Question 7. Were the instructions clear and understandable? 3 or 60% answered somewhat. 2 or 40% answered completely. Question 8. Did you find the list of learner-gathered resources useful? 4 or 80% answered somewhat. 1 or 20% answered completely. Question 9. Did you find the compadres and partisan summaries useful? 1 or 20% answered not at all. 1 or 20% answered a little. 2 or 40% answered somewhat. 1 or 20% answered completely. Question 10. How did you feel about the seminar's workload? 2 or 40% said just right. 3 or 60% said too much.